What has been your biggest day so far in terms of revenue, profit?
I found a partner by reaching out, and our biggest day was, I think it was around 35K.
How long did it take you from like joining the course to hitting that big day?
Well, I guess I enrolled in October, and then I think that big day was somewhere in the middle of April. We can do anything if we put our mind to it.
How much has the most revenue you've made like in a single month?
I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was between 250 and 260 something. You don't need to know all the whys and hows and if that's going to work. So you just have to go and do it.
Hey, Steph.
Hey there, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, awesome. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, cool. I've been hearing you've been having massive success. So it's good to finally jump on and have a chat.
Yes,
Yeah, awesome.
thanks.
Sweet. Do you want to run through a little bit about your like background? I know you live in Bali, so do you want to just give us a little background of like who you are, where you're from, like what you used to do?
Sure. So I'm from America, I'm from LA, and my background is in branding and marketing. So my former life is really in creative arts, and I went to art school. So I think that's
Yes.
kind of my specialty.
Yeah.
So branding, marketing, it was kind of all related.
Yeah. So how did you find the process of going into from like traditional marketing and traditional business to then going into like the online space? Had you done any other online businesses before or anything, or was this your first sort of like pivot into the space?
Yeah, this was kind of the first pivot. I think after being here in Bali, after during the pandemic, and then figuring out like what is it that I really want to try and do that's working from home, and something that I think I could do is it's just I just wanted to try doing affiliate marketing.
Yeah. And how do you find the online, specifically our business model compared to like the traditional marketing background that you came from?
Yeah, it's really different, I guess. The traditional branding and marketing is very structured. And this, although it has a structure, you kind of have to figure it out on your own in a sense. Like you were given tools and you were given a strategy and a structure, but you really have to dive into it yourself and figure it out. It was like a
Yeah.
different dynamic.
Yeah, for sure. And so how did you find then, working with Profit Singularity, like working by yourself, building all the funnels, building all the videos yourself? How did you find that process?
It was actually kind of interesting because I've really found the joy in like working by myself and not having to deal with so many teams of people to like get things approved. And that's like the corporate life that I was used to and kind of walked away from 7 or 9 years ago. And I guess going into my own, it's nice to be able to, it's a little nebulous too. So it's really trusting yourself to know that what you're doing is the correct thing, or if not, then trying something completely new.
Yeah, definitely. And so how did you find the course and its modules and training assist you on the way? Did you find anything specifically really stood out to help you along the way, or was it just, overall just understanding the concept of the business model?
I think for me, because I'm very like structured, and I really need to understand whole systems before I really dive into it. I think sometimes it was very challenging for me because I just wanted to get to the crux of like what is it going to like what's the result. So it was really hard for me to kind of sometimes just go one by one. I just need to learn. For me, it's like I need to learn how to wait. But what was great about the course is that everything was pretty much laid out and structured for you to take steps in chunks when you're ready to do so.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And how did you find the process of making the videos? Like, have you ever made any videos before or done any sort of direct response marketing, as in like running ads, creating the content?
Yeah, I'd never really done that before with ads. So, I mean, I've taken video in art school and I've created storyboards and things like that, but not, and it's very similar. So, it was pretty easy for me to kind of dive in there and do that kind of work but I found it really pretty easy for me to kind of wrap my head around. But it is a lot of coordinating. So you need to like, be able to like write things and put it together visually and then package it to make it all sing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And how was it when you first started compared to now in terms of, running your ads, creating your ads? Like, did you find it difficult at all? And now it's like a lot more easier that you've done the process?
Oh yeah, totally. Taking the course and then trying it and doing a bunch of different things, trying a bunch of different things. Signing up for the mentorship, I think really helped my confidence in getting to there, getting more understanding about how the process works. It really did facilitate me going beyond what I thought that I could probably do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, what has been your biggest day so far in terms of revenue, profit?
In my case, I found a partner by reaching out, and our biggest day was, I think it was around 35K. I
Yeah,
don't I think it was
yeah,
35K.
35. That's pretty incredible. And how long did it take you from like joining the course to hitting that big day?
Well, I guess I enrolled in October, and then I think that big day was somewhere in the middle of April. So it was like 6 months. So yeah, it was like a 6 months journey. And I really didn't find my partner until I think like in the fifth month. So and that's when I was about to like throw in the towel because I live in Bali, and all of the course was, was teaching me, and I was doing things running on US hours. And so when I found my partner, we kind of did things differently, and we structured things differently that allowed us to be more flexible in our time.
Yeah.
And it kind of changed my whole perspective of how I was doing things as well.
Like, I feel like a lot of people, when they join the business model, they face hardships and doubt and so on. But it's only people who that continue to persist that hit that big breakthrough. So do you want to discuss a little bit about that perspective change you had, your journey through the course, like launching your first ads, facing some challenges to then persisting and hitting like a $35,000 day?
I guess because I already felt like I dug myself into a hole, and I know that's not what, but I feel like I was like, what did I just get myself into? I signed up for this course. I then also did the mentorship, and I just knew I can do it because I have a really persistent attitude when I get something started. I just don't stop. I am pretty unstoppable. I think that that's really also what drove me to keep on trying and trying. I just was really determined to get a breakthrough and get at least my what I invested back. That's what I wanted to prove to myself. And then kind of see what this whole thing was about that everybody's like, doing. So it was my first attempt, like I said, to make money online. So it was a real challenge for me to get there. And so what I feel like I really had to move through is just going through the process of also letting go of getting in my own way, I would say. It's a very common thing we do in general when we're doing anything, is like trying to get all the answers and knowing what to do to kind of get everything perfect. And that's what I suffer with. I suffer with this, trying to make things perfect. And what you really need to do is just get it out there and try it, and not be so hard on yourself. You definitely need a level of tenacity in order to get things done, but there's also a bigger perspective you need to step away from and not get in your own way.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. It's also sort of just understanding that the steps are there, and all you need to do is continue to repeat the steps until you find that winner. So did you ever think that making $35,000 in a day was possible?
I guess I kind of did. I was like, well, it would be nice to get there. And then when I started seeing that roll through, with when I just launched this ad with my partner, and it was something that I've tried before that didn't work. What I was doing, and then what he was doing wasn't working. But when we combined our things together, it was that's when I was like, holy crap, wow, this, I guess it does work. And it's this whole testing. You do have to test because you don't know what's really gonna happen. Like I said, I was about to throw in the towel, and if it wasn't for my drive to want to go and find somebody, or feel like I can't do, like I don't want to do this alone type of thing, I kind of asked the universe, I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. I need something like help or something. And then up comes my partner, and we decided to try this thing out, and it worked.
Like, because a lot of people go through that. A lot of people think, they launch a couple ads and they get sort of demotivated, because when everyone joins the course, they're all, motivated, inspired for what they can achieve. But then challenges come up, and, the ads they might launch might not work. And then they either think, all right, this doesn't work, or they keep pushing. were you making sales when you were going through that stage of doubt, or were you sort of not making any sales?
Oh no, I was making sales before, and before I found my partner, I actually found a winner that just wasn't big enough to scale, and I was making, I think I hit at least a 1 or 2K day just on my own. But also what pivoted my thinking was that I'm like, wow, this really can work if you keep on testing, because again, like what I thought was working for me and was making me some money, but when I paired that same image and I just did something different, with his video, it just like took off. And I know that we're all gifted in many ways to like do some parts, but maybe we're a little weaker in others. So I really feel that that's where that beautiful dance between like what he was doing brought in and what I brought like really made work.
And when you hit that first winner, can you run us through how fast you could scale it up and what it was like on that first day where it really clicked and you're like, wow, this is a winner?
When we kept on seeing it was making a lot of sales and we kept on doubling and doubling, and I was using my credit cards, and that's when I was like, wow, I'm paying 10K a day or more, I was just paying, like I couldn't keep up with the payments, and that's actually when it stopped. I have to be honest, is where there is a limit on Amex, and I figured that out quickly, even though my credit is stellar and all this stuff, but that's when I was just like, wow, this is amazing that this is possible. But there also are limitations. So I want to kind of make that big disclaimer that all results vary. Success varies. It depends on how much effort you put into it. Then alongside that, it's really about no one size fits all, because everybody's life is different. What they're capable of doing. And
I agree, and it is that case. It's the biggest problem that many people that have success have, is not having enough credit or money to fund their ads, because you could be spending like 10K a day, 20K a day, but it comes down to that limit. And I mean, it is a good problem to have,
right,
when you start making too much money, because then you run out of money to keep spending, which can slow some people's success down. But
yeah,
as you said,
yeah,
everyone's measure of success is differently. Like, you're making 35K, other students are making $1,000 a day. And it's like, whatever you're able to hit is like amazing, and whatever you're able to sustain. And then you can continue progressing with it, making like $1,000 a day until you can reinvest more, which I think is a good disclaimer, because sometimes we talk about all these massive numbers, like your massive success, and people can think that's so out of reach. But then again, if you're having that sort of success, it's, in your terms, like, is it simple to get to $1,000 a day now for yourself, like where you're at?
I think so. I mean, if we tried and did it again, I mean, it really does take a lot of testing, though. You just have to see the testing, and again, like the algorithm constantly changes. So what you think is working and what does work, you do have to keep on tweaking it.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
I think it does come down to also the mindset and the confidence that when you've done it and you understand it, then it's just, you have confidence in the system, where when you first start, you can have doubts on what to test, how to test, or like, maybe I'm testing and it's just like I'm testing in vain or something. But when you have the confidence to know that you've hit a winner and that you can trust the system, then it is really just about testing and finding that winner. And in your case, what did you mention? Sure. It was like a slight change, and then you just tested a different image with a different video and it started to blow up.
Yeah, it was as simple as me testing basically the same pattern interrupt, but with his video, and then it just really took off. But it's the testing. You have to test.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you just got to put it out there and test. And you could be testing something that you don't even know if it's as good as other stuff or whatever, but then you wake up and boom, you're like making sales like overnight, which is insane. And I think that's also powerful as well with the business model specifically, because you have such freedom to test so many different things, like not only videos and stuff, but if you're struggling with one specific niche or one specific product, you can easily just pivot what you've created into like another niche. So did you find yourself testing multiple niches at all?
Yes, after a while, like when we scaled in weight loss, we got the money in there, and then it just kind of fell apart, and we were really adamant about trying to get that back. And so we tested hundreds of ads. So, and after that, we're like, okay, let's pivot, let's try something else. And then we moved into 3 new niches, which then were also pretty profitable, and not as big as what we were doing, but again, it was working. So you were saying, it's really good to be able to have perspective and then be able to also pivot and try something new and not and really just not get so stuck on it.
How fast did you go from that winner to, 10K, 20K, 30K days?
Yeah, we were like doubling it every time we would make a sale, or we would sales would come in and we would just keep on doubling and doubling and doubling. So, it was I mean I can't even remember. I mean, we started with $100 to $200 just in testing, and then that went to 400, then that went to 600, and it just kept on going throughout the day. So in a couple of days, you can get to 10K easily.
Yeah, and for
Go
a lot
ahead.
of people, that's kind of crazy because testing with like $100 a day here and there, and then finding that winner and being able to scale it up to like 10,000 in spend and making 20,000 is pretty crazy. So, how did you find using the Google platform like overall? Did you find it like intuitive or easy, or did you struggle with it a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I found like once I learned the back end, and it's very technical. There's a technical side that you kind of have to like get used to, but it becomes secondhand nature once it's really repetitive. Like I could now like do things in my sleep. Once you start getting into it and doing it repetitively, just it really becomes secondhand nature, and it's not really as overwhelming as you might think it is. And it's like anything that you start that's new, it's overwhelming. It's just a bunch of information you have to like take in and then do. But in general, I think that the Google platform is I mean, it's pretty straightforward. The only thing that is kind of annoying is that it's like an algorithm. It changes, so it's unpredictable. It's not like you can predict all the things that it's going to do or give back or send you traffic, or you're like, I tried this, but it's not working here. And so it's almost like you really have, it's like a big science experiment. It's like you're drilling for oil too.
That's the exact analogy, yeah, because big oil companies know there's money to be made out there. And so if you take the same perspective as them, it's just like drilling for oil is just like testing for ads. And once you find that like oil well, once you find that winning ad, boom, it just starts like making money.
Totally, yeah. And it's completely random. You're like, I don't know, it's like digging for gold. You know what I mean? It's just because you come from like a certain background doesn't mean you cannot be successful in it, because you don't have a creative bone in your body or whatever self-limiting beliefs you might have about yourself.
Yeah. You've come from like not making any money online to having success now online, and everyone sort of builds their own insights and their little, takeaways from having that success. And I think that's really valuable for people that are still going through the process to like learn. So what would you say the biggest insight or perspective that you've had reaching now, starting from nothing to like reaching a $30,000 day?
I think it really does go back to what you guys market in the PS, and where I came from, which is also healthy commissions. It's really like, what is your why with this? Like, why are you doing this? And when you can get clear on what it is that you're doing, like, do you need this money for something? Is it for your children's education? If it's for that kind of stuff, then I think it really makes a difference to puts meaning to why you're doing something. Otherwise, then you're just kind of churning out work or doing something again and being stuck into something that you were maybe doing before. Having like an action plan and not getting in your own way. Like, commit to trying and applying yourself to it before just like throwing in the towel.
As you said, reframing your why is the most important thing. I know it was the biggest thing for me, because you can come into this thinking, oh, like I just want to make some money, or, and not have like a really deep, powerful why. But when you actually understand why you want to make money, like, do you want it to have more freedom? Do you want to spend more time for your family, or do you just want to have more money to buy things or whatever, right? That is going to ultimately be the reason why you keep pushing for success. And if you can constantly know, like in your head, the reason why you want to have success, then you're going to be unstoppable. And as you said, you're like an unstoppable force as well. So that is very powerful.
Yeah, I think it's really important to keep that in perspective, like what the why is, and then not get in your own way.
And do you mind sharing what your why was? Like what your why was for joining the course and being persistent with it that led you to your breakthrough?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of personal things that I think when I was thinking about that, I'm like, my why was really about because I was going through a deep separation with my partner. And then there's like this need to figure out a financial plan for myself and feel like, how can I do this, while I'm in Bali and separated, and then anyways, there's just a bunch of stuff going on. So I was just like, how can I make money and prove to myself that I can do something, because I haven't been back into this corporate world of making consistent money. And so for me, it was really empowering to be able to believe and keep on going towards that goal of, I know I can do this, to make it happen. And so that was my why. It was the why of for myself and my family, and see if I can do this and make money. And I wanted to see if I could do it. It was almost like a test for myself.
Yeah. That's like the best thing ever, because, and then actually going on ahead and achieving that, I'm sure that's like giving you so much like confidence and power in yourself and your beliefs, and like certified to you sort of like who you are and like what you can achieve, and like overcoming doubts and challenges. Because I think a business, just like as life to some extent, it's like you're going to have challenges in everything, but if you have that objective and you have your reasons why and you keep pushing through, then you can ultimately make anything work despite what sort of circumstances are put in your life.
Absolutely.
And so I sort of sense that you're like big into mindset and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm totally into mindset. And, in I mean, I've been a coach before and a mentor, but with health. So I used to do a lot of health coaching. And so this is why and I've had clients to really shift them into changing behavior and patterns and stuff like that. So I'm really into all of that mindset stuff.
What would your sort of little motivational speech be to the version of yourself who might have not thought it was possible to hit $30,000 in a day, or during those struggles? What would you tell yourself?
I think what I would tell myself is just to keep going, and that you can do it. We can do anything if we put our mind to it. You don't need to know all the whys and hows and if that's going to work for you to try it or just do it. So you just have to go and do it.
I think you can get so caught up in like the action that you forget the perspective behind it. And I think there's a really good quote from Abraham Lincoln. It's like, if you have to chop down a tree, use 80% of your time to sharpen the axe and 20% of the time to like actually chop the tree down. If you write down your steps, like write down your thoughts, write down your steps, write down an action plan of what you want to do, and then just stick to it, because then you know what the next steps are going to be, what the next phases are going to be. I always think of success in this business model as just like every failure is a stepping stone to success, and it's like walking up a staircase. If you do get confused, you can just take a step back, look at your notes, and be like, all right, I tested these 3 videos. Okay, then I tested these hooks, then I tested these things. And you have a clear path to what you're going to do. You're not caught up in the moment, and you're not getting in your own way.
Right, and just not distracted by all these other things, like thinking like you need to like create so many videos for just this thing where you could be spending your time elsewhere. So I think that's really that's the perspective that I would give people.
See, what you said I think is really powerful, that I've used a perspective shift in my life before I started having success, was seeing negative things as like opportunities to grow. Because if you frame it that way, then your growth is going to be like unlimited, rather than just constantly being like stuck, or like constantly being, facing roadblocks and getting stressed and annoyed and angry and confused, but like viewing the negative things that can happen in your life as opportunities for growth, just as much as like the positive things. Literally, like every campaign I launch is just a stepping stone to success. Every failure, every challenge is a stepping stone, because there's no way you're going to run your first ad and have success. I mean, some people definitely do that, and it's possible, but you view it as like, all right, I'm learning something. I've just taken one step forward. You got to learn to walk before you run. That saying. And every campaign you launch, you're building new skills. You're gathering new data. You're seeing what works. You're following the plan. You're like, all right, this video is performing better than that video. Now let me just test the hook. Let me test an opening scene. And in your case, just following those steps in like a methodical order, boom, led to your one change on like a video that you'd already ran, to then $1,000 days and so on.
Yeah, you couldn't have summed it up any better.
Yeah,
it's true.
And can you give us some sort of like, I guess, insight into like the stats and stuff? Because I know you've done like quite a lot of numbers. Like, how much has the most revenue you've made like in a single month?
I think that month that we made that 35K day was like I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was between 250 and 260 something.
Yeah.
So it was a good chunk of money.
It's good
But
to
yeah.
discuss both sides because I'm really big onto like the mindset stuff as well. But I'm sure a lot of people, are, and a lot of people just want to hear like the numbers, like, you know, I find a winner at this point, I make this much money. So it's good to understand the sort of perspective and mindset someone like yourself goes through and has to achieve success, because at the end of the day, like anyone can achieve success. Like I've spoken to so many of our students that I've never met before, and we get on conversations like this. And to me, it's humbling to hear they all come from different backgrounds. They all have different skills. They all have different perspectives. But the one thing that is sort of solid, even though they might have not had it at the time, is the mindset that they gain through going through this experience and having their breakthrough.
Absolutely. I think it really does teach you something about yourself. You have to take your own initiative as well. But, I had a pretty good mentor that helped me stay on track. And even though it was really challenging for me, sometimes with the mentor, it's again, it was just like, it's like it was my own things, some of the things it's like you don't see as your own things.
It's good to have an outside perspective as well.
It is, and it's good to know, like, and to get help. That's the other thing. Like, we are born into this life to think that we're here alone, but you do need community, and you do need people, and you can be resourceful, and it's okay to reach out, and and it's really good to, and I really encourage people, if they can, to form their own power cells, or get at least one buddy, because it's not easy always trying to kind of do it all by yourself. And some people can do that, but it's like, my lifestyle doesn't really, it would be totally different if I was single with no kids and all that stuff. But, I have responsibilities, and it's not easy for me to like constantly just sit there and I would like to do all that. But again, so it's a level of where you are in your life and applying that to like how can you be resourceful and creative in your own life to get to where you want to be.
I think that, yeah, that's the biggest takeaway is literally what you just exact said. And that's for everything in life, in terms of everywhere, just being
Yeah.
resourceful from where you are to like where you want to be. And as we already discussed, having your why is a really strong motivator and like the fuel for that journey as well.
Totally, because it's like it's so easy for us to get like in the state of like feeling disoriented or dislocated, like you're feeling lost, you know what to do, so you just give up, or all of these things that we put on ourselves. So it's really reorienting yourself and getting clear on your why, your values, and then and really truly being honest with yourself and going through the process and seeing every challenge as an opportunity for you to like sharpen your knives, like you're like, we're like, that's how we are, and that's how I see it. It's like you have to really sharpen yourself to get and to master, if you want to master this, if this is something you want to master. But if it's anything in life, you have to apply yourself.
People are going to watch this, joining the course, before joining the course, and they're going to see you as like, you've done it, and these are your insights, and now you're providing that knowledge and that wisdom. It's kind of, how you said hindsight's 2020, but in a way,
Right.
you're also providing that hindsight to everyone else that's like coming after you through the process, which is like super powerful.
Totally, and I'm glad that I can be of that to people, or
And so,
I'm glad I can.
yeah. So where do you see yourself going now? Like, do you have, what are your goals for like the next 6, 12 months?
I don't know yet. To be honest with you, like I see myself getting back into it, and trying to getting back into this. But right now, I'm just taking a little of a break because we've worked so hard.
I
Here
think
we are.
that's like the case of fulfilling the rhythm, right? You make a lot of money, you take a break, and then you can jump back into it and make more money. Like that's the sort of case with this. And I think that's also a big benefit to the business model, is that you're able to do that. Like you're able to jump in, work hard, make a lot of money, relax, take some time off, and then decide, you're going to jump back in, scale up again.
Exactly. Like that's what I think is awesome, is that you can do that without feeling like the need, like you have to like check into a 9 to 5 job, or do all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure to talk with you and, learn about you and the way you think, because I think we have very similar perspectives on a lot of stuff around the mindset. So it's been a pleasure talking with you. And I'm sure everyone watching got like a ton of value and knowledge from this.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope so. Thank you so much, Chris.
All right. No worries. We'll see everyone on the next one.